Alright folks, see what we're going to start working on today. Waiting for parts for that tow truck over there. But yeah, that's what we're working on today. First thing I found was lots of holes in the bottom. I didn't film any of this because it was basically just welding and patching and plugging all the pinholes. It's not pretty, but I had to weld me a new tube through a steel plate. And I used, the piece is gone. I used a piece of steel plate that came out of my old 42 rail that went around the outer edges of the bed. Yeah, it's already got a rust spot on it. It picked up flakes, grounding flakes in the paint when I was moving around. So I just coated it. Put a patch hole in the bottom, got inside there with that big opening. I was able to scrub and clean and phospho and take a pick and poke holes in it everywhere. As you can see, the little bumps all over it, those were holes that I poked in it. Soft spots, some bad spots. And the bottom was basically rusted on all the way across each side of this here. The pinch weld or whatever they call that. So I cut it right out of the bottom. The tube came out of that side right there. So I just welded a tube and it's ugly. I mean, every part of it's ugly, but it don't leak. I only had one little pinhole right next to a weld in here somewhere. When I was done, basically just put a little bit of air in it. Not a lot, like probably 3, 4, 5 pounds. And spray it down with soapy water and it'll blow bubbles. And that was the only bubble I had, which, I mean, out of all the little, you can see the little, looks like water spots under the paint job. That's not water spots, that's those are little welds. Holes I ended up poking through thin spots everywhere, all the way around it. I mean, all the way around the bottom. But we got it sealed up. They wanted a fortune. Like I said, this tractor was pretty much given to me, so yeah, they wanted a fortune for one of these. It's like $800 for a used one, and that's if you can find one. So no, I couldn't do that. So we're liable to find some more pinholes in the future, but now's the time. I should have actually spent a nickel and bought the coating for the inside, because it's in pretty good shape on the inside right now. All that work I did to it. But we haven't even started this thing yet, so I don't want to put a nickel into it until we fire it up, which hopefully today. I'm going to get the tank in, get some fuel in it, get it primed up, turn it over. I know it looks like a mess, and it is kind of a mess, but basically we just got to get fuel to that. It had like 2,500 hours on it, basically sitting, and somebody broke the bell housing, all the bolts in the transmission. You come around here, all the bolts in the transmission were out of it, literally. Okay, see that crack right there? That crack travels all the way down the side of the bell housing, right to there, if you can see that. But yeah, that was the only bolt in the bell housing was right there. And the other ones on the other side, I think there was one at the top, which was probably 12 turns out, and all the other ones were gone. That one was actually in there too, but that's right where the brake was. This thing bolts the front end. This loader bolts right here on each side of this bell housing, and it bolts underneath. Let me see if I can get down here underneath. I don't know about y'all, but you gotta have bolts in it on the bottom. I don't think there's any bolts. I'm not seeing what y'all are seeing, but I did remember seeing there was no bolts in the back there. There probably ain't no bolts at all. So that's why it breaks the bell housing. Don't operate these things with loose bolts. I don't know why the bolts were loose. I got a theory, but I'm not sure. I think somebody started taking it apart because it was a clutch issue. And maybe decided they weren't going to take it apart. I have no idea. Just let it sit. Somebody else started using it, not knowing. But they said it needed a clutch. Well, it's going to need a clutch when the bell housing is like half-inch crack spread apart. I mean, it was half-inch apart. I put bolts in it. That top one was a bear to get in. I had to pry and pull and get that bell housing to spin back, because I'm thinking there's a dowel pin down there on that bottom bolt right there. Y'all can see that? I think there's a dowel pin behind there, and that is where it's cracked in the bell housing right through the center of the bolt, and it's probably out of line. That's why I couldn't get that one there in. I had to really pry and everything, but you know, it's cracked right here, so all the way up. So I'm sure there's a gap with stuff in it. I got that gap pretty well closed up with all the bolts in it, so I'm gonna go ahead and grind that out, and yeah, we're gonna try to weld it. But first, I think I'm gonna go ahead and try to start it. I'm not gonna put a lot of work into this thing. Like I said, this was pretty much a free one, so whatever I can do. The back tires were great. I mean, I couldn't see. You know, they're starting to dry rot. Yeah, these must have been on the bottom. I couldn't see that part. But they had looked brand new, never been hardly used. I mean, you can still see the writing on the wall. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and try to start it and see what we got here. See if the motor froze up. It was kept dry. I could turn it a little bit by hand there, but you know, you can't really turn good. So hopefully we're good there. We got to go ahead and yeah, my cap fell off. It was a fuel cutoff right here. It was boogered up and closed. I had to take it apart so that I could back the pin out to get fuel into it. So we'll see. I still ain't finished that part neither, but I can screw it out and put the cap on and get fuel into it. We can see if it, first we got to see if it even turns over. So, and it looks like all the wiring's still there. Nobody's hacked away at it. I took all this stuff apart here, so hopefully we're good. It's got headlights. I've never messed with a Kubota. I wonder if they got a glow plug system. Yeah, it springs back. Ooh, that thing's hasn't been turned in a while. Yeah, I think he turned it to the left for a glow plug. So these are probably a low compression glow plug motor. Don't know. We'll see. All right, guys. Y'all stay tuned. We'll see what happens. That's what my day's cut out for me. Never know, it might make a good little tractor right around the yard. You know, I don't have enough of them around here. Yeah, there's another one hiding out back somewhere too. So, all right, let me get to work. We'll come back right before we go to turn it over. Uh-oh, something just rolled out. Isabel wants to make a project. So we're gonna see what she's gonna turn this into also. She's got an idea for a project. We'll see. All right. The suspense. All right, y'all take care. Stay tuned.